Welcome to FIDF Live. Let's dive right in. Today's guest, Hila Berdichevsky, lived through the horrors of October 7th when Hamas terrorists descended on her kibbutz. A former IDF combat medic herself, today we'll hear from her about her harrowing experience and how she managed to survive until IDF soldiers ultimately came to her aid. We are so honored to get to have this incredibly resilient woman with us today. Hila, please share your story with us. We are on the edge of our seats.
So, hi everyone. My name is Hila Berdichevsky, and I'm a speech therapist and also a lecturer. I'm married to Adam, which is a mechanical engineer and Israel wheelchair tennis champion, and is a Paralympic athlete. And I'm a mother of Tuyami, which is 10, Neta, which is 8, and the little one, 6 years old, Yuli. And for the last 20 years, I've been living in Kibbutz Nir Yitzhak, which is located within the Gaza envelope. So I met Adam during the military service in an operation in Nablus, in Shechem. He was a fighter in Nahal, and I was a combat medic. And he pretended to be injured and happened to have to take off his shirt in order to show me his injury. And ever since we together. And Adam was born and raised in the kibbutz, so I followed him. And I think that I'll start by saying that what does it mean that living in a kibbutz? I mean, for a lot of people, they don't understand what it means to live in a kibbutz. So living in a kibbutz means community, freedom, open spaces, and open homes. And it means biking from one way to another. And as we used to say in the kibbutz, all the roads lead to the dining room, because whenever you go, you just go to and end yourself in the dining room. And our children learn to ride the bikes from day one. And it's a sense of community and happiness and freedom. But what does it mean living in a kibbutz within the Gaza envelope, within living 3 kilometers from Gaza Strip? So, I mean, it's really hard to say to you how it means that we deliberately chosen to live in a place where life is actually to live from one ceasefire to another. And we usually live under these circumstances for the past 20 years. And when I start and speak about having an alarms, it means that we have only exactly 15 seconds from the sirens begin until the rocket lands. 50 seconds, only 15 seconds. It means that you have 15 seconds from brush your kid from the toilet or from the bathroom or from the bathtub and take it to the safe room, or you have to go from the yard to the house in 15 seconds, or you have to get off your bike, lay over your children, and after the rocket fell, you continue and put them in the kindergarten and you continue going to work, because one or two or three alarms will cancel your work. So this is what it means to to live under the attack of being Gaza enveloped. And 20 years ago, before my children were born, I didn't think much about that, because alarm, you go to the safe room and then you continue with your life. But now when you have children, you have to be responsible not only for your own life, but for your children's life. And I think that started to be more sad. With that fear comes the sadness, because you see how they change, how they're feeling, getting changed from being free outside and riding their bikes and being with their friends. And with the second the alarm start, they start to have fear and to cry. So being a parent in Gaza envelope, I think, means that you always have to weigh the decision whether to leave or whether to stay. And I think that I always confide myself that the gain that what they're worth living in a kibbutz is much more valuable than all the sirens and everything. But whenever I speak about it, that none of this thing that I spoke about it, never, we never thought about what happened during the October. So around 6:30 a.m. in the morning, the alarm started. I on that day I woke up at around 6 a.m. because I wanted to go for a run. I decided to go for a run. I used to have half marathon. I ran a half marathon, and now decided I'm going to try to do the marathon, the full marathon. So I said, okay, I will wake up to early in the morning and I'll run 17 kilometers. So I woke up and I started to arrange myself. And by 6:15, I opened the door and I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going for the run. And then I came back because I forgot my headphones. So I came back, and by 6:29, 6:30, the alarm started. As I told you before, we are resident of the Gaza envelope, so we're used to waking up to alarms, but nothing on this scale. I mean, the number of the lunches was so overwhelming that we quickly realized that this wasn't that is going to be something else. So we rushed to our safe room, that our children all were already sleeping there. So we just waited for instruction for the emergency response team, from the army, from the consul, from someone, but no message came. And I remember those minutes because the first minutes were the scariest minutes, I think, that we've had, because basically we used to get messages right on start, and without getting any messages, then we understand and realize that something bad is going to happen, because there's no way that no one sends you anything, that no one's giving you an alarm of something. And I think half an hour or an hour later, we started to hearing the gunshot. And the gunfire, our kibbutz is really close to the Sufa base. We have kibbutz Sufa and we have Sufa base, where the army is. So I remember telling to Adam, like, so naive, wow, it's so funny that we can hear the gunfire from Sufa base. And then he looked at me and he said, it's not from Sufa. It's not our soldiers' gunfires. Israeli soldiers are not allowed to use automatically weapon. We heard the sound that we heard was pak, 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 pak. And Adam knew immediately, after being in the army, that it's not something that Israeli soldiers use. And he told me, this one is a Kalashnikov. It's not something that we use. So I think that in that seconds, Adam first of all realized that we have terrorists in the kibbutz. So Adam is an amputee. He lost his leg after the army. And when the alarm started, he just jumped without his leg, because he used to sleep without his leg, from the bed to the safe room. But after knowing what is going to happen, so he just crawled back to the room, took his leg, put it on, and brought a knife from the kitchen. We also just managed to bring one bottle and 2 buns that we had on the kitchen. And then he immediately rushed back into the safe room and said, listen, we have a terrorist in the kibbutz. I don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. We got no messages, nothing, but something bad is going to happen. And for all these hours, we continued hearing the gunfires right close to our window, to our house. And we still didn't know anything. And I remember around 10 a.m. in the morning, I messaged a friend of mine, which is an officer in Sayeret Matkal, And I asked him what's happening, because every time there used to be alarms and out. So he just helped me and said, okay, it's going to be something. You should go and take your children out elsewhere. So I text him, what is happening? I think we have terrorists in the kibbutz, because I didn't know nothing. We had no connection. We had no reception. We didn't know nothing. What's going on in Be'eri, what's going on in Nir Yitzhak, nothing. So I just text him. And I remember him replying in this word. He told me, we're now on the way to Be'eri. I am so sorry, but I have nothing else to say to you except to hold the door tight. And I remember just reading it, and I just fell on the ground crying, because if he told me something like that, I mean, we're in trouble. So me and Adam just doing turns, holding the door, because we didn't know what's going to happen. And then after 10 minutes, I think, a lot of messages in our WhatsApp, the kibbutz WhatsApp started. We have terrorists in our house. They hear, and we didn't know even what are they talking about. What do you mean they hear? I mean, we know that they are that sometimes the army told us maybe a terrorist can come, but it always was 1 or 2 or 3, nothing more than that. But then a lot of families started to write in the WhatsApp group, they hear, please help us, they hear. And I remember that we didn't know at that time what is going to happen, what was happening. And some of the kibbutz members wrote, like in Hebrew, he said Hatzilu, which means, I think that in Hebrew, the meaning is much more than help. And he said, Hatzilu, and then a lot of gibberish words, and that's it. The connection was, we don't have any connection with him. And after 5 minutes, Adam's parents starting to write, help us, they hear, they're trying to open our safe room, we can hear them. And Adam's parents and our house is like maybe 100 meters, something that you can walk and go to them. But we couldn't do anything. We were locked. We were in our safe room. They were in their safe room. We could not allow to go out. And we were crying. The kids were crying. Everyone was crying. I remember them writing messages of goodbye messages. We love you. We love you. We're so sorry. We love you. And help us. We don't know what to do. And during all that time, the terrorists were in their house for, I think, maybe 3 hours. And I remember Adam was so I think he was devastated, because the knowing that your parents are going to be dead and you can't do anything about it. And after an hour, which we were hiding in the bed, underneath the bed, covering ourselves in the dark, we didn't turn on the air condition or any fan, nothing, or the light, because we were afraid that if it would turn out, that they will know, they can hear us. And I think after 6 hours in the shelter, so my middle son, he fainted, and I didn't have anything to give him in spite of his pee, because we didn't have any water or food in the safe room. And then we started hearing them coming to our house. We started hearing them underneath our window, and we heard them screaming. We heard the gunfires. And I remember Adam took all of us together and just hugged us and hugged the children. Me and Adam were just like hugging them like that. And then he told them, listen, kids, in a few moments, really bad people are going to open the door, and they try to do really bad things to me or to Ima. And we will try to protect you as much as we can, but you have to be brave, and you have to be strong, and you have to remember that we love you, and just try and hide whenever you can underneath the bed. We didn't have nothing in the safe room, nothing except for 3 beds. And I remember just waiting. We just waited for them to enter the house and come in. And after 2 minutes that will last forever, we just heard them continue walking underneath our window and continue to the other house. On our neighbor's house, they shot gunfires on the safe room, and they just moved and passed our house. And after 14 hours, long 14 hours, the army arrived and evacuated us to the children's house, like in the kibbutz, kindergartens of the kibbutz. And there, among with our entire community, we began to hear about all the horrors and the abductions and all of our dead people from the kibbutz. And that's it. And after 2 days, because after 2 days staying in the kindergartens, because we still had terrorists inside the kibbutz, that the army was bravely fought them. After 2 days, we were evacuated to Eilat, and and we began our new life as a refugees, as after grieving and being in a continuous shiva for the last month. And I think only then we knew what happened to all of our friends, all of our really best friends, because living in our council, in the Moatza, in the region, is a really small one. You happen to know everyone. And me, during my work, I happen to know a lot of kids, a lot of people from our region. So, and then we started hearing about all that happened. And I think that there's nothing that can reflect the feeling that we felt during those days. And the crying, the amount of crying that we had, it's enormous. And now I know that now living here now, I know that we were actually saved, and we had such a luck to end as we ended, because things could have been so much worse. And I think that that's the main, I don't know, I think that's what happened.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. It's just, you're so incredible the way that you tell this story. Like, I'm sitting here and I can't, even after you say it, I can't imagine it. Like, I just can't imagine, having to say those things to your children in that safe room. How old are your children?
So I have my oldest 10, the second one he's 8, and the little one is 6. And my middle one is also, he's diagnosed with PTSD ever since he was 5.5. I mean, he's the youngest child that being diagnosed in our council with PTSD, because we used to go to therapy, to the center of the therapy in Israel ever since he was 3 years old. And his beloved therapist was killed during the 7th, Lilach, from Be'eri. And I remember him telling me right after we got from the safe room, really, I mean, I think it was on the same day, he told me, Ima, right, that everything is that finished, and we coming back to the kibbutz. So I'm going to meet Lilach, and she's going to talk with me about everything that happened. And, only after we will know that she was murdered in her own house in Be'eri.
Wow. FIDF is doing this enormous effort around PTSD across the country, and this story just brings it to life, how soldiers and the families of soldiers and the families of everyone in the South, how every single person just needs this support. How have your children been doing since then, and how have you been doing in terms of PTSD? Like, when you think about returning home to the kibbutz, what kind of thoughts come through, occur to you after an experience like this?
So as I told you before, And I think that as, the kibbutz is much more than a place that you live in. It's a community. It's something that is inside of you. I mean, my children all the time keep saying how they want to go back to the kibbutz, and because they remember all the good things that they used to have in the kibbutz. We don't live in the kibbutz because of, I don't know, a messiah ideology or something. We live in a kibbutz because we love to be close to the ground, because we're simple people, because we like to go to the fields and barefoot and run in the grass, and we love the simple life. And but as more than I speak about it, I understand that what we've been through is like a tattoo, because I can hide it, we can conceal it, we can not talk about it, but it will always be there. And I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, after we came here on the 1st of December. So it was a frost in Texas. So we had to stay at home. And we just played hide and seek in home. And my kids were just hiding inside the closet here in the house. And I remember my middle son, the one with the PTSD, told my older one, he just told him like in the middle of the game, wow, think about that. If we had this house in Israel, we could have had so many places to hide from the terrorists. And 2 days ago, my kid, I just peeked out of the window because I wanted to see if my husband is there. And she told me, she's 6. She told me, Ima, can you not do like this from the window? And I told her, why, Kitty? She told me, because it reminds me how you used to look from the window in the safe room and to see if you see the terrorists. And when you saw them, you told us to hide, and you and Dad said us all the things that they're going to come. I think that they will come again. And it never ends. It never ends. And on Friday, the teacher calls me in tears. She told me, Hila, listen, our fire alarm broke down today, and it was a little bit of maybe 2 seconds of alarm. And all the kids in the class were just raising up their heads and saying, what's going on? Your kid, your child, hide under the table, covered his ears, and start crying. And she was crying. The teacher was crying. She told me, I know everything that you've been through, but I've never thought that I would witness to this. I've never thought that I would see it like that. So I know that we want to go back to the kibbutz, but I don't know if right now it's the right time for them to go back.
Right. That totally makes sense. And in a moment, I am very interested in you sharing with our audience how you got from the kibbutz to Houston, Texas, which is where you guys are staying right now. But before we get there, I just want to back up for a second. It wasn't totally clear, if it's okay for me to clarify. Adam's parents, did they make it?
Yeah, they did.
What happened in their story?
So in their story, the terrorists were in the house maybe 3 hours. They were just coming and going, and trying as much as they can to open the door. But they were so strong and resilient, so the terrorists could not open it. And after 3 hours, the soldiers came straight into their house and saved them before they came to all the other houses. So
was that by chance? How did the soldiers know that?
Because Adam's sister. No, because the soldiers arrived first of all to the people that the terrorists were in the house, because they wanted to, in order not to have more casualties and more abductees. So this is what they did. So first of all, they just go to their houses and then wanted to see if they're clean. But they're fine.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
One of the questions I have is, some of the reports that came out of Israel was that sometimes the terrorists were wearing IDF uniforms that they had stolen. How did you know when the IDF eventually came that they were actually IDF? I mean,
so we didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know that. And I remember that it was written in the kibbutz WhatsApp group, the soldiers are here, and all the other, the reaction were, how can we know if they're there? How can we know if they're for real? So one of the ladies in the kibbutz, she told me that when the soldier knocked on her door, she told him, I don't believe you. Give me your ID number. So he just gave her the number. And she said, I still don't believe you. Sing me a song of Chava Alberstein, which is a really famous singer, but she's old one. So the soldier told her, I don't know any of Chava Alberstein's songs. So she told him, okay, so Hanan Ben Ari, which is a younger singer in Israel. And then he sang a song to her, so she opened the door. And then she wrote in the kibbutz member, they are for real. This is our soldiers.
Oh. If you can explain what it was like to see them coming to the rescue, that you knew that it wasn't over. You still had 2 more days to spend, with terrorists on the loose. But if you can share with us what it was like when you knew that at least help had arrived, how it was for you,
it was amazing. I mean, the moment that we knew that the army has entered the kibbutz, we felt safe. I mean, I knew for sure that I can open the mamad, the safe room, and I can bring water for the kids, because we didn't have water for so long time. And the minute they were there, even though they didn't come to our house yet, but the minute that it was written that the army is in the kibbutz, I knew that I can open the shelter, the safe room door, and can bring food or water for my kids. I mean, I think that was the most relief thing that happened, because I think that the what I really wanted just to bring them water, because it was so hot inside and so suffocated inside, and we couldn't breathe. We really couldn't breathe, and I just wanted to go outside to bring them the water, and came back and shut the door. But I think that was it. And after it, when we heard them, when we saw them, it was like we really felt safe.
Wow. I have a question about, when did you realize the scale of the larger attack? What was it like when you and your husband and your children really understood what your experience was a part of on a grander scale, and what has been the consequence of that on you guys as a family?
So I think at first I realized it a little bit, like in a shred, in the mamad, because I have a WhatsApp group with another friend from Tzelim and another friend from Be'eri, and she's a divorced one. And I remember that we wrote to her, what's up? What's going on? I think that we have terrorists in our kibbutz. Have you found any hot-looking guy terrorist? Because we always laughed about it. And she wrote me, you don't know what's going on here. All the houses are burned. It's a hell. It's a hell. This is what she wrote me. And I remember just reading this message, and I thought, oh my God, I mean, it's more than 1 or 2 terrorists, because I've never thought of the situation that thousands of terrorists are controlling all the Gaza envelope. I've never thought about it. And when we heard the terrorists in our kibbutz, we thought maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And when we heard it's on Be'eri also, we thought it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Never what happened. And only after we will know that her daughter was kidnapped to Gaza, and her child was dead in the safe room. And after the soldier evacuated us, so I called my friend from Tzelim. I called her and I told her, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what happened to me. And she said, oh, Hila, I'm so sorry. I was so busy. I'm helping the kids from the party. They arrived to our kibbutz, and we helped them. And I told her, what party are you talking about? What kids are more important than me? I mean, I didn't even know what happened. And I think that the only time that we realized what really happened was in Eilat, in the hotel, when a lot of friends from us, from Nir Yitzhak and from all the other kibbutzim, and we met them, and then we started to hear all the atrocious that that happened to them and to ours to our kibbutz, because only then in the hotel we saw that we have a lot of missing people. Now that we know that are dead or abducted or being hostages in Gaza. So I think that it never even I think that even now it's not even sank through me.
Right. I mean, thank God there's so many miracles in your story. Thank goodness you and your family are all right, and that you're able to tell us this firsthand account. It's truly incredible. I did want our audience to get to hear about where you guys are at now, and you're representing Israel on the global stage in many ways. To get to the root of the story, I'd love for you to share with our audience, this actually wasn't the first time that you and your husband had escaped death. It's happened before. Can you share that story with us?
So after the army, me and Adam went to the trip, like all the soldiers that finished the army do. So we chose Australia and New Zealand. And after 11 months of really amazing trip, we finished in Thailand. And we went to some island tour in Thailand. We went up on a yacht. It was a small one. And I remember it really like it was yesterday, but it was in 2007. And the sky were crystal clear. The sun was there. The no clouds in the sky, nothing. And I remember Adam looking at the sky, me and him standing on the yacht with another 60 people. And then he told me, go and put your life jacket on. It's going to be a monsoon. And I looked at him and laughed and I said, what are you talking about? Look at the sky. He said, just go and put your life jacket. And he went from one person to another and just convinced them to put the life jacket. Because he told them it's going to be a monsoon. And told me we have to jump from the boat. And I told him, what are you talking about? Look at the sky. After 10 minutes, I really think 10 minutes it was, a monsoon started. And
how did he know?
I don't know. He happened to have this thing. He looks at the sky and he can know exactly when it's going to be rain. He can tell you by the I don't know, the shape of the clouds. I don't know. It's going to be rain in 3 minutes and it's going to be rain in 3 minutes. Really like that. And it's something that he really likes. Yeah. So all of a sudden the monsoon started and the waves were like in the height of a roof. And the boat was like this, and it was rumbling, and it was really like a storm. And after 3 seconds, the boat started to sink like this, like in Titanic. And I was standing on the top, and he shouted at me, go on, jump. And I told him, I can't. I was frozen. So he and the boat was sinking like that. So he just pushed himself because it was suction. So he just pushed himself, and in order to push me, and by pushing me, he sucked into the end. And I remember me in the water after it, and I looked for him, and then I saw him in the middle of the ocean with a circle of blood around him, and he was just screaming. And I looked at him, and he was screaming, and I thought, oh my God, a shark ate him. So it has to be like that because we're in the middle of the ocean. What can be wrong? And we were in the life jacket, which actually saved our life. And then a boat came and they throw us a rope in order to save us. So I went from the back of the boat. The people there helped me to go up, and they threw a rope to Adam. And he just started to climb with 2 hands. He just started to climb. And then I saw his leg. His leg was shredded into pieces because his leg cut into the propeller in the engine of the boat. It's like when you buy chopped meat. So that was what it was. And I remember that the Thai man he started pushing him because he didn't want him to die on his boat. So he started pushing him back, and the Australian people that were on the boat pushed back the Thai people and lift Adam to the boat. And then we were evacuated back to Phuket Hospital, another in the ocean, another time for 1.5 hours with these waves on the boat on the way to the hospital. And I remember this amount of blood in the boat, and we had to stop the blood. So I managed to do a tourniquet.
Because you're the ideal combat medic. You knew what to do.
Exactly.
Really,
I mean, that's the one thing that I remembered immediately from the army that I have to do in order to save his leg. I didn't think about saving his life, but just his leg. And after that, we came to the hospital after a really long journey for 3-4 hours of just sailing in the boat again, driving in an ambulance back to Phuket. It was really 4 or 5 hours, which he was like losing so much blood. We always left that we have, we joke on Adam that he's much more Thai than Jewish, because his blood is Thai because of all of the blood he lost. And then we arrived to the hospital, and they cut off his foot on Phuket, and we flew back to Israel on, it's really funny actually, because we flew back to Israel on Aleph Tishrei, which means the first day of the year, of the Jewish year. And he went to the hospital, and they did him surgery, and they cut off his leg on Aleph Tishrei, which is the day I was born. This is my birthday date. So it's really like a closure. And they cut off his leg. They managed to do it under the knee because of the tourniquet. And then he began his marvelous rehabilitation story. He's now practicing in wheelchair tennis, and he's #1 wheelchair tennis player in Israel, and he's a Paralympic athlete, which means he's going to Olympic Games. So right after the 7th, we couldn't even think about anything else. But after 2 months, the Olympic Games are going to happen in August this year in France. So he said, okay, I have to participate in tournaments in order to be qualified to be in the Olympic Games. But then he tried to enter the tournament in Europe, but he couldn't participate there because of the anti-Semitism and because of the security that he had in order to be there. And we had a friend in Texas, Houston, which told us, come over here, Adam can practice here. And we thought, no, what we're going to do here in Texas? We never heard about this country before. And we eventually finished here. And for the past 4 months, Adam is here and we are here. And he's been doing tournaments in all over the US, in Atlanta and Florida and Canada and California. And now in 2 days, he's going to participate in tournaments in Brazil and Chile and Canada. And I just cross fingers for him so he can be qualified for the Olympic Games.
It's incredible that he's had this way to focus in the aftermath of October 7th, this way to redirect his energy and to show the incredible resilience of the Jewish Israeli people. I can't even begin to come out of that experience of October 7th and then to show up and to compete and to represent Israel in such an excellent way. It's just astounding. Kol hakavod. And to be able to share your experience with audiences here in a very in a very unusual way, through sports, through this different arena. And that must be an incredible experience for you and your family.
Of course. And, all the anti-Semitism that he's faced to in his tournament, because a lot of people, he always tell me, I see So I deal with so much ignorance with people that doesn't know a thing about what happened during the October 7th. And I think that we are some kind of representatives of what happened during the October 7th, because a lot of people don't have they wouldn't have the chance to meet person to person with someone that had actually been in the October 7th, like to hear it from first testimony.
100%, 1,000%. You're definitely an emissary in a sense, being able to touch people who aren't getting accurate information, are disconnected from it altogether. You're absolutely a shaliach in a way,
yeah, exactly.
of what happened. I want to ask you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that I think that hearing us as a kibbutznikim, that people that live in a kibbutz, that most of us has those left wings politics ideas, are even more strong because everyone knows that we are coming from peace and peace thoughts. And after what we've been through, I think that all of our opinions are a little bit shifted and changed. And I think that is give more people the understanding of what really happened to us.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. So many people who are in that arena, so many in that area, so many people who are at the Nova Festival are these people who champion coexistence, and that's their orientation and that's their vision. And it didn't matter. There was just, it didn't matter. No one was saying, well, what are your views on this? And then discerning the outcome of that person, based on who they were at all. Like it was just a killing spree. Very, 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 very scary. But your testimony is so powerful. In connection with Adam and his competitions and his attending, hopefully the Paralympics in Paris this August, how does he feel about attending and participating, given what's been going on in Turkey and that several, European events were canceled because of anti-Semitism? We just seen the Jewish team, the Israeli under-19 soccer team in Norway that was attacked by that hateful mob. And the situation, that situation in Norway, I really feel was like a microcosm of what Israel is up against. Here is this mob consumed by groupthink and hatred, and they're attacking a bunch of teenagers. We have to wonder what would have happened if the police hadn't have been able to keep them away, and this is a way that these groups are trying to shut Israel down, trying to, make the athletes afraid to participate, make the organizers afraid to continue, all the while demonizing Israel, isolating them. How is your husband considering that, what that experience could show up as in light of these current events?
Listen, I think that as an athlete that used to travel a lot in tournaments, he has been doing it for the past 12 years. So he's been traveling all over Europe and Japan and Korea, whatever, just in the globe, and he was there. And he told me every time there is an anti-Semitism. It has been, it always has been. But I think that we, as an Israeli, we never thought about it too much. And, after the 7th, we thought that the whole world will be with us and that will stand behind us. And we felt betrayed a little bit from the world, but the world was never with us from the first time. I mean, the anti-Semitism was always there. And I remember him, we went with him one time for a tournament in Turkey. Do you know that the amount of the security that we had, none of the other people that participate there had security team. We had security team in every floor. In our room, there were 2 guys that guard the room. So I mean, why? Why should we, as a normal people, have to be followed with guards and security wherever we go? It just shows you that anti-Semitism is there and it will always be there. And I think that the main idea, that the main cause of it is the ignorance of the people right now, because they're relying on things that they hear on TikTok or Instagram or things like that, and none of them really going to search the depth of the things. And I know, it's really easy to chant from the river to the sea, but because it's funny and it's nice and everyone does it. But just go and see what is this that you're chanting.
Absolutely. And your husband is so incredible that even in the face of that he is persevering and committed to defending and representing Israel on the global stage and continuing knowing the climate that he's walking into. And even after going through that incredibly traumatic experience of October 7th. We always hear about Israeli resilience, but your family takes it to a new level. You guys really take it to a new level. What is the secret, if you could share, that enables you and your family and what you're passing on to your children, this attitude, this mindset to continue pressing forward?
You know what? In a matter of fact, I think that we are learning from our children, because our children have gone a lot ever since the 7th. And we, as an adult, I mean, I remember myself for 2 months, I was like a zombie. I was crying for everything. I would just go and cry. I would just stare at you and cry. I was crying so much because I thought that, I mean, I saw the death in front of my eyes. But the kids, I mean, after one day in the hotel, they were laughing and playing with each other and just, running from place to place. And I remember hearing my little one, she told me, "Oh, Fima, it's not fair that some of the girls got Lego and all the other presents." And this girl told her, "Do you know why I got it? Because my dad is dead. So this is why I got it." So she told me, fair that her dad is dead. I mean, the how they light things, and I think that made us look at the bigger picture and to see, okay, we have to be resilient for our kids, because they've been so through a lot. We were taking from our beds, we were put in another city without our things, without anything that we had. And then we took them and moved to the US, something that, living from a kibbutz to America, it's like not 360 degrees. It's like twice, double it. And they go, they play, they laugh, they have friends. And I think, I mean, looking like that, looking through their eyes gives you the strength.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with our audience as we take your story and share it forward, that people should understand the incredible resilience and the experiences of the people who survived that day and the incredible work of the IDF soldiers and why we must continue to support them?
I really think that everyone that can speak in the name of Israel and the benefit of Israel and behalf of the soldiers and the army and in our voice, I think that this is a mandatory mission, because we have to do it. We own it. We owe it to the state of Israel. And I think that if a lot of people like me or like soldiers that were in during the 7th attack and rescued and were there, will go and spread their speaks in front of people that are non-Jewish or Jewish, but most of the non-Jewish, I think this is a mission that we all have to do in order to bring back the little respect that we should get from the entire world.
Thank you, Hila. Thank you so, so much for so generously sharing your experience and your thoughts and your incredible perspective with us. We're so grateful.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, as we wrap up, I want to highlight the courage of our guest and of the soldiers who rescued her. Their courage in the face of terror inspires us and fills our heart with gratitude. Thank God we have the IDF, but the fight isn't over and our support is needed now more than ever. So please stick with us, do whatever you can. With the conflict ongoing, FIDF is on the front lines, providing crucial support to the soldiers and their families. Show your solidarity, spread awareness, give. Let's make our soldiers feel our unity and support. Am Yisrael Chai forever.